A warm welcome back to another Gaming Coffee Club, everyone. Cheers, your weekly chilled coffee sit down chat about all the latest and greatest gaming news, in particular PlayStation news, with a little sprinkle of other stuff on top. This week we have a jam packed show for you. Massive updates for the PlayStation Portal, two massive games being delayed, and a whole bunch of other good stuff to chat about. So let's not waste any time and dive straight into our first news story. We're over at gamesindustry.biz, and probably no surprise to anyone, GTA 6 has been delayed. It was delayed already, and it was meant to release in May the 26th, 2026, but now it is aiming for November the 19th, 2026. Is anyone surprised by this? I'm not, if I'm honest. However, I do think this is a better launch date because right before the festive period, holidays, this game is going to crush. It's going to sell even more. In an interview with GamesIndustry.biz, Take-Two Interactive CEO Strauss Zelnick would not commit to this being the final delay, but said he was confident in the date. That's why we set it. We are trying very hard to deliver the most extraordinary interactive entertainment experience ever created. Rockstar and we are aligned on that. We are feeling really good about it, he said. As you know, occasionally across our entire company, including 2K and our mobile business, at times more time is required to polish a title to ensure that it is released in the best possible form. And of course, it'll release in the same fiscal year as the prior date. So there we go, big delay there for GTA 6, probably to nobody's surprise. Do you think it will arrive in 2026, or is this looking like a 2027 release now? That leads us on to our next story. Insomniac Games have tweeted, "Don't miss a shred of information. Wishlist Marvel's Wolverine coming fall 2026." So they've kind of doubled down on fall 2026 as a release date. Obviously, this could slip. This is the first we've heard of a release date for Wolverine. It may miss that date, but it is very interesting. It makes you think, will they keep this date? Will it come out before Grand Theft Auto 6? Could it go face to face with GTA 6, on or around November 19th? That could be risky, and you would think they would want to avoid each other. Either way, 2026 is looking like it's going to have some incredible games for us all to play. Out of Wolverine and GTA 6, which are you most interested in? Let me know in the comments. Moving on to the next big story of this week is the cloud update for the PlayStation Portal, which we spoke about on last week's show, and we have been rumouring about, if that's even a word, for ages, has now arrived. It was dropped out of the blue. You can now play your owned PlayStation 5 games on your PlayStation Portal, with a few caveats. However, this is in general a good update. But the big one, which a lot of people I would say are not happy about, is that you need to have the top tier PlayStation Plus premium subscription active and enabled to stream your own PlayStation 5 games. Now, a lot of people are like, I've already bought the games. Why should I need to pay to stream them? And I get the frustration there. However, this is paying for the servers. It's not cheap to stream games. So I guess that is what you're paying for, the ability to stream them from the cloud. However, if you do buy these games and you have a PlayStation 5, just play them via remote play. You don't need PS Plus Premium. This, I guess, is more of an update for people who have been using the Portal as a standalone device and don't own a PlayStation 5. It opens up so many doors to them, because previously they would rely on the PlayStation game catalog, which you need PlayStation Plus Premium for anyway. So that's a select curated batch of games which you can play. They get added to each month. But now you've got the option to buy games. You can scan a QR code on your phone, buy it via the PlayStation app on your phone, and then you can stream the game directly from the cloud. This is good because games that are not included in the PlayStation Plus catalog like Ghost of Yotai, for example, Spider-Man 2, you could buy them and then play them on your portal. And this could be massive for games like GTA 6, which we spoke about earlier. Imagine if this was the cheapest entry point to playing GTA 6. As we know, GTA 6 is kind of like a console exclusive when it launches. It's only launching on console. It won't be available on PC for a little while. Rockstar are just focusing on the one version. They do this quite often. But if you don't have a console, you're a PC gamer, you might think, I might just pick up a portal, get a PS Plus premium subscription, buy GTA 6 digitally, and then you can play it on your PlayStation portal. Is that something that you think you might be doing if you don't own a PlayStation 5? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, lots of good things have happened here. It's a cool update. There's also been some other improvements. The UI has been enhanced, which just makes it a lot better. There's now a search function, so you don't need to just scroll down an endless list, of games. You've now also got 3D audio support, which is good. There's a passcode lock, so you can lock your portal so no one else can access it. And there's a network status screen where you can kind of troubleshoot, and it shows you your connection strength and speeds, which is pretty cool. You can also buy in-game DLC and stuff like that. So this was just a massive update. Kind of coincides with the 2-year anniversary of the portal, which came out in November 2023. Then after 1 year, we got access to the cloud streaming beta, which is this game catalog you can stream some games from. And now we've got the ability to buy games and then stream them directly from the cloud to your PlayStation portal. This is really quite huge because remember when the portal was first launched and everyone was slating it and hating it? Not here on the channel, by the way, we were big fans of it. It was basically a remote play device, so purely an accessory for your PS5. That's not the case now. You can now have a portal, play your PlayStation games without a PlayStation 5. So very, very good update. Makes me think, where are they going to go next with this update? What would I like to see? I would like to see some more of the social features developed, because right now in this update, they allow you to accept game invitations, but you cannot send them, unfortunately. So that would be cool. I'd like to see like variable bitrate options, so you can increase or decrease the bitrate, trying to get, much better image quality. Also more trophy support. You can dive in and see what the trophies are. Right now, just you earned a bronze trophy or whatever pops up. That's pretty much the gist of it. There's not really anything else you can do with trophies via the cloud gaming. Lots of updates that I think they could do in the future, and it will be very cool to see. But a lot of people are a bit peeved that it is locked behind PS Plus Premium. Are you one of those people? Will you be checking it out? Are you checking it out right now? But it is a good batch of games to start off with. It's over 2,800 when you go to the website to check them out. There is a lot of games, a lot of good ones in here, but I've said this on a previous video, there's a lot of just shovelware, a lot of AI slop. I don't know how these games get approved by Sony. 1, to get in the store, and then 2, to become, an online streamable game. I mean, games just like total rip-offs. I mean, what is this? This like a knockoff of Flight Simulator? I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's really good, and maybe I'm ignorant and don't know these things. Arc Raiders recently got added, which was good. A lot of people were asking for that. So they're constantly adding new games to this. They will be updating this over time. 2,800 games we're currently sitting at. 2,840 to be exact. Big games that are not there just now. A lot of the Call of Duty games, none of them are there. The EA FC games are not there. The Battlefield games, so Battlefield 6 and RedSec, they're not there just now. Battlefield 2042 is there. I know people aren't a big fan of that one. However, hopefully more of them get added. And another thing I'd really like to see added in the future would be the ability to stream PlayStation 3 games. Right now, this is limited to PlayStation 5 games. So it's PlayStation 5 games only, and PlayStation 5 native games. So you will see like PlayStation 1 games and PSP games listed, but it's because there's a PlayStation 5 version of those games that they can be streamed. A lot of people have asked, where's Red Dead Redemption 2? It's not there, unfortunately, because it does not have a PlayStation 5 version. It's only a PlayStation 4 game. So it would be really cool to see them expand that. That would be the biggest thing I would probably like to see with this update. But on the whole, I'm happy. I think it's a great update. The portal just gets better and better and better. And let's get on to our next story. Well, the next PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium game, which has been leaked already, is one that's been on the service before, and a lot of you were angry when it left, but it's coming back, according to Deal Labs, who are always spot on with this, and it's Grand Theft Auto 5. So I wanted to bring this up for you all because a lot of you who play on the portal have been then buying this to stream it from the cloud. If it's going into PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium, basically it'll be going into the cloud gaming catalog. So you don't need to buy it. Just wait, it'll appear in the PlayStation Plus catalog for you to stream to your portal as long as you have PS Plus Premium. Cool to see this has been added, but it'd be cool if we got some new stuff. Grand Return here. It should be available next week, they're saying. Wednesday, the November the 12th, barring any last minute surprises. And we should also hear the rest of the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium catalogue games. And I'll keep you posted here on the channel when we hear what they are. But are you happy that GTA 5 has returned? The game that will not die. This game has been on 3 console generations now. And now it's streamable from the cloud. So it was on the PS3, the PS4, and now on the PS5. And now streaming from the cloud on your portal. GTA 5. No wonder they keep delaying GTA 6, because this game and GTA Online must just be raking in an absolute fortune for Rockstar. You kind of can't blame them. It's so popular. It's always in the bestseller charts. It just will not go away. Now we're over at Eurogamer because they are reporting that GTA 6 wasn't the only big game delay we heard of this week. Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra has also been delayed and pushed beyond early 2026. There's a statement here from Skydance Games, which says, at Skydance Games, our goal is to deliver unforgettable premium games that honor the characters and worlds we are fortunate to work with. Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra is an ambitious project, and we are committed to ensuring it meets the level of quality that our team, players, and fans expect. To fully realise our vision for Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra, we've made the decision to shift our release window beyond early 2026. We're grateful for the passion and support from the community and players around the world. The team is working hard to create something truly special, and we look forward to sharing more with you as development progresses. Interesting, we don't have a new date. It's just moving beyond 2026. I hope this isn't cancelled. It did look good in the teaser trailer we have seen so far. So another one bites the dust. It makes you wonder, with all these big game delays, about how complicated games are to make these days. Just think back in the day, if you go back to previous generations, like, you would have multiple games in one series, for example, churned out. So think about PlayStation 2. I know it was a different time, a different world, but you had like GTA Vice City, you had GTA 3, you had GTA San Andreas. There was also other ones. And like, Bully as well. Bully was on PS2, I'm pretty sure. All of these games from Rockstar. I know we're not talking about Rockstar here, but that's just an example. Whereas now they've been working on GTA 6 effectively for 3 console generations, you could say, since GTA 5 has been out for that long. Now, Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra, what a cool name that is for a game, I really like that name, has been delayed. I think we need to strike a balance. Some of these games are getting so big and so expensive that, I mean, if they come out and they fail, they can take down the studios with them. Rockstar's unique. They just have so much money in the bank. I mean, that delay for GTA 6 will be costing a fortune. Their share price, I'm pretty sure, has taken a hammering over that. However, they can deal with that. They're in a very unique situation. A lot of other developers are not. They can't do that. And publishers as well. They don't have that money in the bank to be able to do that. Makes me think a balance is needed for some more smaller, tightly knitted kind of game experiences. And for me personally, when I was younger on PlayStation 1, I used to love a lot of the arcade games you would get, and they are much more smaller packaged games. Maybe that could make a bit of a resurgence as we go into 2026 and 2027. Just some really awesome, fun arcade games which don't break the bank to develop but are a great time. And also probably hopefully don't break our banks as they wouldn't be super expensive. Indie developers are doing all this really well right now, but it'd be cool to see some of the bigger studios also adapt to this. Would you like to see a return to arcade games and some smaller, tighter gaming experiences instead of these massive AAA games which take full console generations to develop? Let me know in the comments. We're over at PlayStation Lifestyle next for an important announcement about this month's PlayStation Plus games. So WRC 24 is one of the games for PlayStation Plus Essential for November 2025, and it gives you access to two versions. And you need to make sure you pick the right one because one of them includes a lot of free DLC. The article goes on to say there's EA Sports WRC and then there's EA Sports WRC 2024. The former released in 2023, whereas the latter is a major expansion. When selecting which edition to download, players should make sure to download the 2024 PS5 Standard Edition. The 2024 edition includes the original EA Sports WRC game, WRC 24, Locations and Cars content pack, Le Maestro's content pack, and Hard Chargers content pack. These DLCs cost a pretty penny on the PlayStation Store, so it's nice to have the add-ons for free. Make sure you get the right version, people. Happy racing. Speaking of buying games on your PlayStation, our next story over at Push Square is a really interesting one, and it all centers around this leaked icon, which is on the PlayStation 5 console for cross-buy, which has got everyone wondering, is Sony looking to do cross-buy promotions or abilities for their games where, for example, you buy Ghost of Tsushima on PS5 and then you are automatically able to use the PC version, or vice versa. You buy, Spider-Man on PC and then you get access to the PlayStation 5 version. I assume as long as you are using, some form of PlayStation 5 account, or maybe they're looking to do a PlayStation style launcher for PC. But this has been confirmed as being a real thing. Deal Labs gave a update saying that the cross-buy icon is indeed real and was added in as recently as June 2025. And they're saying this is important because it proves it's not legacy code attached to, for example, the PS3 and Vita, which used to have something similar where you'd buy a version of a game like, Duke Nukem or something, and then you'd have the Vita version as well. So this could be something new that Sony are looking to roll out. And over on Twitter, Amethyst tweeted basically a video showing what these look like. Very interesting. And you can see there's some of these that are already in use, like the Cloud, Touchpad, PS5, PC here, cross-buy. What could this mean for future of PlayStation? Is this something we'd all like to see? I guess this is quite pro-consumer. I think this is a good thing. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on this one. This is kind of similar to, I guess, Xbox's Play Anywhere, where you would buy a copy of the game for Xbox, and if it was a Play Anywhere title, you would be able to also claim and use the game on PC. Looks like Sony might be moving into that space as well. Would you like to see that? Or would you like to see a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation launcher for PC? I guess a lot of people wouldn't want to see that. Everyone would probably want just you could claim the game on Steam, for example, as it's the prime place to play your games on PC. Very interesting story, which we will be keeping tabs on. And our next news story focuses around even more buying of games on PlayStation, and this one might not be a good one. Insider Gaming is reporting that dynamic game pricing is happening yet again on PlayStation's store. So if you're not sure what dynamic pricing is, it basically means if we are both looking at the same game, you might get a different price from me based on whatever Sony's algorithm is thinking. So dynamic pricing was first spotted on the PlayStation Store way back in 2024. And this latest bit of proof seems it is definitely still underway. So there's a great example here from Reddit. And if we click on this, make it a bit bigger, Was excited to finally purchase until I realised the price was lower on my wife's account. Red Dead Redemption 2, $19.99. On his wife's account, $14.99. So that's a decent saving, $5. He's went on to say here, my wife doesn't play much, and so buying it on her account may not be the best decision to keep everything easily accessible for me. Seeing this soured me on buying it quite a bit. And for reference, same region, same PlayStation, same currency, etc. Very interesting. So I wonder what PlayStation is taking into account here with their algorithm for doing this. You know, it must look at, I guess, playtime, types of games you play, and I guess this discount is to entice you to buy the game, but I don't think this is very good. I'm not a fan of this. There's another post on Reddit from Walking Immortal, and they've summarized it here saying, I went onto my browser and searched for the game, which was Astrobot, on the PlayStation Store. While being signed out, it was $59.99. I signed in and it appeared as $49.99. Very interesting because these are big price differences. And it raises the question, is this something you think is fair, or you think that Sony should be doing in their store? Would you rather everyone, was charged the same price, or are you cool with this? Are you happy with this? I'm not so sure. I think it would be better if everyone was just, charged or offered the same price in games. So if there was a discount, it was a discount across the board. Unless, I guess, there was some form of like loyalty thing for being a PlayStation Plus subscriber. You get, some form of additional perk or benefit. This is a weird one. I'm not sure how I feel about this, and I'd love to hear all of your takes on this in the comments. And if you've noticed any random dynamic pricing happening on your PlayStation account when you're trying to buy games, is your game price different from your partners or your friends or anything like that? Be cool to know. I've just realised on this episode of the show, we're talking a lot about buying games here, and that continues with this next story over on VGC. And there's a report which says consumers spend twice as much on video game remakes than remasters, according to research. Interesting. I've never ever thought about this. This research was carried out by Ampere, who found that across 42 titles, which was 15 remakes and 27 remasters released between January 2024 and September 25, global spending on an average remake was more than twice that of the average remaster at 2.2 times. However, Ampere acknowledges that while this data suggests remakes can rejuvenate classic IPs and attract new audiences, they require substantially higher investment and development, marketing, and time. Remasters, by contrast, offer a fast turnaround and lower cost, but generally deliver less engagement. That makes sense to me because the remakes are kind of like a new game. Remasters are typically just a lick of paint, maybe, higher resolution graphics, but it's essentially the same game. They did go on to say there's some notable exceptions according to the research, such as Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, which reached a peak of $188 million in consumer spending and 7 million monthly active users across PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. Katie Holt, who is the senior analyst at Ampere Analysis, said, as games and IP's development costs escalate, something we were talking about earlier on the show, publishers are increasingly raiding their back catalogues for cost-effective remakes and remasters. Publishers deciding between a full remake versus a remaster have to balance franchise planning, investment risk, age of content, platform support, and more when choosing which route to take. We're definitely living in the time of remakes and remasters. There's been so many of them this generation. I would hope to see some new exciting IPs also sprinkled in there. This news generally doesn't surprise me. I personally would prefer a remake than a remaster. But what about you? Would you prefer a remake or a remaster when it comes to some of your favourite franchises? We're on the gamer now to talk a little bit about Xbox's new advert, which doesn't feature an Xbox and everyone hates it. And I watched this and I kind of get it. It feels like Xbox is kind of shitting on its own fans. They're trying to promote Xbox Game Pass here, and it looks like they're trying to poke fun and slag off physical game copies. I don't think that's a good idea. as they kind of show the guy sitting inside a returns box at a game shop looking like a little gremlin, so excited that someone's dropped off a copy of Gears of War from them for them to play, and then it switches to the modern era with the same guy looking all cool in front of his PC with Game Pass. It's very weird. I really don't understand Xbox's marketing or advertising at all these days. The comments under this video is just like absolute flames. They are just so not happy about this, just saying how they've been so disrespectful towards physical games and to, I guess, the people who kept Xbox alive throughout all this, which are the hardcore gamers, which probably bought a lot of these physical games. It's an interesting one, and I guess advertising has got people talking. That's a big part of it, but I don't think this is really so much in a positive way. And we'll talk about some PlayStation ads later on in the show, because they've also dropped a bunch of really random looking ads as well. But this one just really doesn't hit the mark, and it's now a bit of a trend where their adverts are just getting worse and worse. I saw one the other day as well. I can't even remember what it was about, but it was a guy in a boxing ring, and it was all about this is an Xbox and it was a new ROG Ally and stuff, and it was just a really bad advert. I don't know who's running the ship over there. Xbox genuinely seem to have the worst marketing team in the gaming industry. Rant over, people. And I just wanted to rant about this because I want Xbox to do well. We need competition in the gaming industry. They just keep messing up and shooting themselves in the foot. Like, what is going on over there? It almost feels like it is intentional. No way can you be this incompetent this consistently. Does anyone else agree with me and think that Xbox is just trying to almost like shut down the Xbox console as we know it? I think they are. Anyways, let's move on to see some PlayStation adverts now, in the spirit of balance here, because Sony has released a few new ones, 3 in particular, and they're pretty weird. Over on the PlayStation blog, they have announced this It Happens on PlayStation 5 campaign, which is rolling out globally and is going to have real world elements. They mention at the bottom of the post that some of the elements and themes in these advertisements will also appear in the real world, such as UFOs landing in Australia, Spain, and Germany, or mysterious creatures found in Mexico, Italy, and the UK, which is cool. I like these real world elements and advertisements. It's cool when people see these and get their pictures with them and share it on social media and stuff. But these ads are really quite strange. You've got the greatest stunt jump ever, which has a gas tanker which has been speared on top of a skyscraper. How the hell did that happen? I don't know, but apparently this only happens on PlayStation 5. And then the next one, the unexpected catch. It looks like a fishing boat, and then there's some horrible looking monster or sea creature. Then, what do you know? I guess it's a gamer, one of us, comes out of the actual monster, and this dude's standing there like, what just happened? And then we have another one which they've called Everyday Problems in Extraordinary Vehicles. And a woman's driving across which looks like a desert, and she looks over and sees 2 guys standing there looking kind of bemused. And then it pans out and they're standing in front of a massive crashed spaceship. Now, these all look really cool, but they are just so weird and make you go, what? And it got me thinking, is this PlayStation returning to their kind of weird, edgy advertisements of years gone by? PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 had some weird ads. The mental wealth advertisement way back in the late 90s, and then I'm sure there was a PS2 or PS3 advert with, it's like a baby in it, like a toy baby. It was just really weird. I think this is quite cool. It does give PlayStation more of an identity. Like these adverts back in the day for PlayStation, it made it feel like an adult product, not like a toy for kids. So maybe that's where they're going again with this one. Let me know what you think about these adverts. Have you checked them out? And what is your favourite advert of all time for PlayStation? I personally loved the one with Crash Bandicoot outside Nintendo's offices shouting for Plumber Boy. I thought that was so good. Next, we're over at Twitter, and Resident of Evil Network have posted some images of the new Resident Evil movie reboot, which is underway, and it's been directed by Zach Cregger. And these photos from Prague give us our first view of a kind of snowy Raccoon City. If you have a look at them, it looks quite cool. Got some burnt out cars and empty streets. Very apocalyptic. Sheriff Martin County truck there covered in snow. It's cool, it's covered in snow. And then we've got a big map of Raccoon City. So Cregger is a big fan of Resident Evil supposedly, and he has described this as an all-new origin story which takes place in the wider world of a survival horror series. And as everyone does when there's a new Resident Evil movie or whatever, he's insisted that fans of the franchise won't be disappointed. I hope we're not. So this thing's due to release in September 18th, 2026. So just under a year away. And for me, Resident Evil's got to be one of the easiest video games to get right as a movie. It's a zombie movie. Just give us some of the key characters that we love from Resident Evil, throw them in there. Zombies, end of the world, let it cook. So fingers crossed this is good, but we don't really know much about any of the characters or anything like that. The tweet did go on to say though that they turned Prague into a snowy Raccoon City, filming large-scale action sequences with gunfire, explosions, and stunt driving. Sounds cool. We're really quite spoiled these days as gaming fans with the amount of franchises which are moving to the big screen and to TV series. So I hope this can really capture the essence of Resident Evil and be really good. Kind of the way Fallout, the TV show, did. To me, Fallout, the TV show, is the gold standard of how to turn a video game, adapt a video game into live action for TV or cinema. That's what I think is a gold standard. So fingers crossed, Resident Evil can do this. I personally, and I know it's not popular, I actually enjoyed all the Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movies back in the day. In particular, Resident Evil 1 was a little bit closer to the video game. I know, and then the rest were just crazy action movies and kind of Resident Evil only in name and just with zombies. But I enjoyed them, but they just are really nothing like the actual game. So fingers crossed we get something which is like a spiritual successor or, throws back to the magic of the games. And hopefully we see Leon, Claire, Jill, Ada, any of these characters. What characters would you like to see in a Resident Evil live action movie? Next up, we're talking about some hardware, and it's from My Game. And this was a Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter's finished. But now the actual product, which is a light gun. Yes, who does not love light guns? I mean, we were talking about arcade games earlier on in the show, so I really wanted to discuss this. Arcade light gun games are just a forgotten entity of the gaming world. I think the last PlayStation console which had a legit light gun was a PS3. Had Time Crisis and House of the Dead and stuff like that was on there. But since CRT TVs have disappeared, it's become much more difficult to do. For example, the Time Crisis game with the PlayStation 3 had two sensors you sat up on top of your telly, and it works really well. I would love for them to do something like that again. But this new tech from My Game has now been released. It's getting pretty positive reviews, and it's now rolling out to other retailers, so you can just buy it versus, supporting a Kickstarter campaign. And it's like a closed off console experience. So it comes with Time Crisis, Point Blank, Steel Gunner, and Steel Gunner 2. And depending on the pack you pick, you either get one gun, a pedal, two guns and the pedal, and the basic pack only comes with the Time Crisis game. You need to get Premium or Ultimate to get the other three games. It looks really cool, and they've basically developed this so it works with AI and it will work with modern televisions. This really got me excited and made me wonder, could they make a accessory like this for your PlayStation 5? Who wouldn't love modern light gun games on your PlayStation 5? They could make totally new franchises, new games, and because a lot of these games are basically on the rails shooters, they're not going to break the bank like we were talking about earlier with the development costs for big AAA games getting absolutely out of hand. So this is something I would really, really like to see. Whether this would happen or not, I don't know. Is there an appetite? That's why I wanted to discuss it. Let me know in the comments. Is this something which would interest you? Would you be interested in seeing light gun games make a return? I remember on the original PlayStation 1 having my G-Con 45, and I got that and Time Crisis for Christmas, and damn, it was absolute magic being able to play Time Crisis in your house. So there's a full back catalogue of all these games. Think about all the great games you could have on a PlayStation 5 with a light gun now. All the Time Crisis games. I don't even know how many Time Crisis games there is. There must be about 6 of them or something like that. 7 of them. Point Blank would be really cool. House of the Dead. There's a whole bunch of House of the Dead games which they could add in here, which would be absolutely awesome. Other Sega franchises I'd love to see, like Virtua Cop. That would be amazing fun. Also, this is just something that needs to happen. I think this could be really good for the gaming industry because it would revitalize I guess a lost game genre which just doesn't really get any game time these days. Something I'd really be excited to see. Hopefully maybe something will be developed in the future around this. The reason I'm hopeful is because this was developed in conjunction with Namco. They licensed their games, and they probably licensed the style of the gun. The gun looks very similar to the G-Con 45 from the PlayStation 1. Time Crisis is 30 years old. Wow. So I would love to see this happen. Would anyone else? I think this could be awesome. It wouldn't cost an absolute fortune. I think a lot of people would pick this up and be really interested in this. These sort of games as well are great for just quick pick up and play, blast through. You can blast through some of these games in like less than an hour, easy. I think this is a no-brainer for the gaming industry. I think a lot of arcade games, not just light gun games, arcade games in general, are what the gaming industry needs right now while it's in this crazy cost battle for delivering games under budget and on time and not just being astronomically expensive. So I'm hopeful this might happen. Now, one thing that is selling well is our next story, and that is the Switch 2 over Nintendo Life. I wanted to mention this because it has sold over 10 million units since its launch. It only launched this year, a few months ago, and they've revised their estimates, saying they're going to sell even more before for this year, sorry. So they've revised their estimates from 15 million units to 19 million units, which is just mind-blowing, and also makes you think, could this new PlayStation 6 handheld, which has been heavily rumoured, could it sell numbers like this? Could it do as well as a Switch 2 if it's something similar? Switch 2 has sold so well across various regions here. In Americas, it has sold 3.68 million units, Europe 2.4 million, Japan 2.35, and other 1.93 million. Wow, this is pretty incredible, and what a start to the life of the Switch 2. I've picked one up. It's a great device. I'd recommend you do as well if you're into your Nintendo exclusives. It's basically a Nintendo exclusives machine for me. Well, apart from I bought Cyberpunk as well. I couldn't resist. They've also mentioned some of the sales numbers for the figures here. Mario Kart World has sold 9.57 million units. That is absolutely bonkers. A remarkable attach rate of over 92%. Now, I think a lot of these would come bundled with the console because you got Mario Kart World a lot cheaper if you bought it that way versus buying it on its own. That's the way I bought it. I got the Switch 2 Mario Kart World bundle, so I think a lot of them would be that way. And then Donkey Kong Bonanza has sold 3.49 million units also. These are big, big numbers, and it just shows you the strength of, I guess, the Switch brand. There's a lot of noise about people hating Nintendo and hating this, hating that. Clearly, they don't hate them that much. They're willing to, part with the money from their wallets, and it is going really well. Maybe it's just that way it is with a lot of people and a lot of things. There's just a really vocal, small minority of people, which have a big megaphone on the internet and love to moan about stuff. I think a lot of you watching this probably have a Switch 2 as well. PlayStation and a Switch 2 is a pretty good setup. A lot of people have that, but these figures just really blew my mind. I was really, really shocked at this. and it gets me hopeful. This is doing so well. The PlayStation Portal is doing so well. Surely PlayStation 6 handheld is guaranteed to be on the cards. As long as Sony don't make some massive mess up with some crazy proprietary storage cards or just something like they did with the Vita, this has got to be a lock-in, and it would sell so well. I think so many people would be interested in purchasing this. I would purchase this, absolutely. Would you? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to know more about the PlayStation 6 handheld, including it being even more powerful than the PlayStation 5 Pro, check out the video on screen over there if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you check out all the links down below in the description to support the podcast. And you know what? We'll see you next week for even more awesome gaming news here on the Gaming Coffee Club.